tonight, reflecting in your eye. Baby, you deserve the sky.
Rural America doesn't always get the attention it deserves. Having spent most of my life living on a coast somewhere, a place like Kansas certainly never made its way onto my travel radar. I always kind of assumed it was all football and cornfields, not necessarily the kind of place I was dying to vacation. More often than not, the kind of place where people eventually choose to leave. But some of the best travel I've ever experienced is where I least expect it. And reading up on it, the small town of Lindsborg seemed anything but predictable. The first sign of many that things were about to get weird. So as I drove in from Wichita, passing only open plains and parked tractors, I started to wonder, how does a place in the middle of nowhere effectively put itself on the map? Travel's more accessible today than ever before, but to find the best experiences, the right vacation rental can make all the difference. For years, I've worked with the inner circle of professionals leading this movement. Now I'm going on vacation to experience their work in person, and I'd like to share with you our stories as we redefine hospitality on a whole new scale. My name's Matt Landau. This is the Vacation Rental Show.
In the 80s, agriculture started to go downhill. We had a crisis, and that's when the downtowns and small towns really started to change.
Entering the town of Lindsborg feels like you're entering a storybook, a time portal where streets are laid neatly with brick, crisp flags hang from the lampposts, and children wander home, solo.
I think now we're in a time of repurposing small towns, so it's an opportunity, it's exciting, and it's urgent that we get it right.
Lindsborg is supposed to be just another rural dot on the map that's drying up and eventually blowing away. But like all great pioneers and standouts and rebels who buck the trend, the people of Lindsborg don't pay too much attention to statistics or what the rest of the country's doing. They march very much to the beat of their own drum.
It's different than other towns, from the food to the customs to the traditions, the architecture. It's just delightfully Sweden-ish.
Welcome into Lindsborg.
Thank you. Yeah, we saw the signs.
Yes, the dollar horses.
Is that what they are?
Yes, the dollar horses.
I intentionally know absolutely nothing.
Oh, well, we can tell you anything.
That's what we're here for.
I bet you can.
I chose my vacation rental, Vettehuset, because it was one of the only vacation rentals in town, and it was located smack dab in the middle of Main Street, which would be a perfect home base for my excursions.
How are you?
Good, good.
That's Tammy.
Yeah. So Tammy,
Yeah.
Brian, nice to meet you.
You're like the
Yeah,
bigger version of me.
that's right. I get that a lot, though, unfortunately.
Well, Matt, this is Vettehuset.
Yes.
And this was done up to look like a grain elevator.
Wow.
And I did that because that's where the elevator is. I put the elevator in a grain elevator.
Natural.
You're supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and Kansas is the wheat state, so you got to have a grain elevator. So when this light goes off, that means you're good to go.
Good to
open
go?
these doors.
Okay. Whoa! I was not expecting to open the door to this. Who did the design? First and foremost, who was responsible for
Well,
that?
Brian did the layout. He did the architectural layout, and I did the decor.
You both rocked it.
So
Oh, yeah.
I can see why you make a team.
I'm the property manager, the booking person, the leasing person for the business, and then I also am the interior designer. And I work with Brian on deadlines for construction. So just lots of hats, whatever needs doing.
Jim lives with his wife full-time somewhere else. He manages this remote orchestra like the conductor of an extremely talented band, a right-hand band called Brian and Vicki Freeman, the husband and wife team who power Jim's construction and hospitality business from the ground up.
As an engineer, you're just a problem solver. So that's ideal for vacation rentals. You get to problem solve on the fly, try not to spend a whole lot of money, talk to people, collaborate, create a team, a brain trust, if you will. And that comes in very handy when, as an owner of a vacation rental, you don't live where your vacation rentals are. You can solve problems remotely. So that's why why it is the way it is, you know?
That's the beauty of vacation rentals. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
I love
Okay,
it.
now we're gonna show you the laundry room.
Okay.
I'm particularly proud of because Brian did such a
Oh,
great job.
Matt,
Yes.
before you get too
This is
far.
the little workstation.
Yes, workstation, Wi-Fi.
And what is this?
That's a coupon off for one of the local coffee shops.
Lovely.
Yeah, so
have
we
two
do
different-
that.
different vibes.
Blacksmith shop, coupon.
I'll bet they love that when your guests come in and have some
Yeah.
drinks.
Blacksmith is a hip and comfortable coffee shop with fast Wi-Fi and menu options like quiche and soup du jour. It's the kind of place that would have never existed on Main Street, Kansas 50 years ago. And this is a great tip for hosts, by the way. Reach out to your local coffee shop or delicatessen and secure some free drink vouchers for your guests. This makes for a great value add upon arrival. It also connects them with the local business community, making for a more meaningful relationship all around. And if you want to innovate like Jim, click below to go behind the booking.
They take their Swedishness seriously. I heard it was a Swedish town. I'm genetically mostly Swedish. So I said, well, let's check this place out, see what it's about.
Almost 150 years ago, a hardy band of Swedes arrived in the Smoky Valley of central Kansas. They set out to create their new home, and they chose the name Lindsborg. It's remained the only Lindsborg in the world. That's how many of those who are fortunate to call Lindsborg home feel about it today. A one-of-a-kind town.
They are who they are, and they use it as a tourism attraction, but they also use it to enhance daily life of the locals. They're a tourism town that lives who they are and what they have, and I think that's what makes it special.
Oh, nice to see you.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. I'm Jim. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm ready to dance.
Lindsborg is affectionately referred to as Little Sweden, which is not a gimmick or a cheesy thing at all. Because the town is so proud of this culture, Jim has no trouble presenting guests with a variety of ways to enjoy it. The local high school, for instance, happened to be practicing their Swedish dance routines, and we were warmly welcomed to join.
My name's Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
You're the
Tammy.
one that's going to learn,
Okay.
right?
This is totally wild. I feel like I just walked into a Swedish gymnasium. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing the Knickerhopper?
Like 2 months.
2 months? You sound like a pro.
Now, had you invited me when I was first in high school to a Swedish dance practice, I would have run for the hills. But these kids were so proud and so excited about their craft. It was amazing to see the cool kids actually doing something different, something cool.
My heart's thumping right now. I feel like I'm about to be the last person chosen in dodgeball. But it's Swedish dance. Here she comes. Me?
No,
Oh.
we got this, Matt.
So let's just try walking. So you're gonna face the way you're going. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
My favorite dance had to be the Young Polska, a a roundabout routine where claps and prances lead up to a Swedish chest bump, and then a team move, where we literally picked up the girls and spun them around for a good 10 seconds. My second favorite dance was Oxen, a duel in which I basically aimed to one-up my partner in aggression.
And then you would punch him.
Which one are we doing? My dancing buddy Jacob explained the value of facial expressions. He gave me the cues for upcoming motions. He was as patient and welcoming of a local cultural ambassador as a visitor to Lindsborg could ask for. Even Jim got in on the action. The dancing wasn't a formal tourist activity, nor were there any out-of-towners there, so I felt really honored for the night. A really important Swede, avi Swede.
Those Swedes had a lot of energy back then.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Whew. You didn't know you were gonna come here and get punched and
had no
beat
idea.
up and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
I thought I was just gonna sit in the stands.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, ready? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, got it.
I consider myself part of Team Lindsborg. I have my own brain trust within the construction side of things, but I have had on many occasions people in town ask me for my opinion on what should be done in Lindsborg, and I don't even live here. I think that's really remarkable and speaks a lot to the type of people that live here.
Jim brings with him a calculatedness that suggests his success is neither luck nor magic. His vision's realized by what he feels. And according to the stakeholders in the Lindsborg community, it's working.
Jim has reminded people of what is so special about this little downtown area. He has shown them what's possible with these old buildings and restoring them, and the blood, sweat, and tears of putting himself and my husband's crew, all of us, putting our blood, sweat, and tears into these buildings and into this town, and just really showing people what you can create and showing people what happens when you do that, that people respond to that. I don't think all of that is Jim, but I think a lot of that is Jim.
Yeah, I like that.
Lindsborg is Main Street, both literally speaking, but also figuratively. Back to the basics of what small towns do and do really well. Take the old Stuga, for instance, the local watering hole where you get a cold beer and a pastrami sandwich from Mark Liesel, who cooks out of what looks to be the corner of a cash register. And this is a great tip for travelers, by the way. If you're looking for a little inspiration when you arrive, invite your vacation rental host out for lunch to their favorite lunch spot. It's a great way to find out some insider tips, maybe some of the advice that they weren't willing to publish online. When I asked the best way to get to Scott's grocery store, walking or in a car, Jim said, other. Very Lindsborg. And if you ask nicely, some businesses even offer the royal treatment. Businesses like local outdoor gear aficionados Rendezvous, where the owners Rick and Julie host all kinds of extracurricular activities, complementary to the adventure theme. I jumped at the idea of a sunrise hike, no more than 20 minutes outside of town, where you're basically transported to mini canyons where some of the earliest dwellers captured and processed buffalo. Kansas has a really rich history, and when you're in the hands of people who are passionate about it, like Rick and Julie, you can't help but embrace the excitement. Take Jim and Kathy Richardson of Small World Gallery, who reminded me to never stop creating. Jim's a National Geographic photographer of over 30 years. And Kathy shows off her amazing jewelry in this wonderful space. These two are perfect ambassadors of Lindsborg, perfect examples of what running a small business means in a local community.
In a small town like this, you pretty much get to pull the levers. I mean, if Mike across the street decides he wants to do a concert on the bridge, he can make it happen. And, you know, if somebody gets a wild idea to do a water fight in the park, yeah, okay, you know, everybody will kind of get on board and make that kind of stuff happen, you know. So it's not like it's huge stuff, but you know, you can do it.
Jim and Brian and Vicki are big on getting things right the first time. They talk about shortcuts like the plague and how with historical preservation comes great responsibility.
The amount of work that goes into these projects, it's a deep dive, you know, financially and emotionally to turn these properties around. The nature of small towns is when you fix up a building, you're going to put more money into it than what it's really worth on the market. And I know that, and I accept it. That's a difficulty that is just the way it is.
Over dinner our first night at Farley's, the restaurant bar that would become my home for the next week, I began to think that no one of them would be quite as happy or as challenged without the other two. A wonderful proof of partnership, that like-minded people in our lives can make all the things worthwhile.
My lawyer has a saying he calls the home bar. He says whenever you go somewhere new,
You gotta find it.
yeah, you gotta find it. You gotta go somewhere at least 2 or 3 times so that you get to know the people, and it's not just a passing through sort of thing. You actually make a little mini connection.
We will stop in towns when we are driving anywhere and seek out that local family restaurant or bar to do that very thing, because then you get to know the people.
One way Jim likes to weave his guests into town is through its community events. Realizing that no one else would solve their community's challenges for them, the business leaders of Lindsborg created something they call the Ad Hoc Committee, a group of doers who tackle everything in town from cleanliness to hand-pack welcome baskets for visitors. These were the kind of people who stand up and choose to solve their problems. It was the kind of simple groupthink that could change any neighborhood, really. Listening to the inner workings of this place, I was reminded of the great Margaret Mead quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And I got to see plenty of the community's work in action, too. One amazing example was the community water fight at Swenson Park. Water fights bring out the kid in pretty much anyone. And I don't know if it was my trash talking or what, but the kids of Lindsborg really took a shining to me, chasing me throughout the park, screaming like wild banshees while sidestepping thunderous hoses from the local fire trucks. Jim calls himself reserved, but I think Lindsborg encourages out a different side of him, a place that helps us be a better version of ourselves.
Returners, 15 minutes run, and then you go right into a 30-minute fartlek, and that's 2 minutes on, 1 minute jog. The 2 minute on is like at 8K pace. These are for distance returners. 10-minute cool down, come back. Once you're at the track, you have 1/400 timed and just kind of want to see where you're at. That doesn't mean 100%, but if you want to roll it and put your spikes on, then that's perfectly fine.
When I stay at a vacation rental, I like to use the excuse of not having a fitness center to venture out for a jog in the morning and see what the destination looks like before everyone's awake. Since Lindsborg's also home to Bethany College, Jim suggested I visit the local cross-country coach, Aaron Yoder, who's something of a celebrity for his world record time running the mile backwards, which is so Lindsborg, by the way.
It's physical strength gets you to the start line, but mental strength pushes you past the finish line. That's a good one. I don't know who wrote that.
Coach Yoder happened to be welcoming back students that morning and invited me to join in for a light preseason practice. Now here's where I should mention that I am not that great of a runner. I enjoy running, but I have no place doing it competitively. So it was a bit startling to learn, between wheezing breaths, that all the running we just did, that was just the warm-up. Coach Yoder dispatched the team off into the woods, and I found myself desperately trying to catch up with a bunch of spry college students into the open Kansas countryside. Cross-country running in Lindsborg is hard.
And now you're going to do the second half of your routine.
Exactly.
And you're not.
I think I'm going to lie on my back and roll around.
You deserve the moon. Wish I could bring it home to you. Baby, you deserve the moon.
Lindsborg is surprises. The Swedish thing is surprising. The openness of the people is surprising. So I guess with this in mind, it's not all that unusual to learn that when your vacation rental host recommends the nearby museum, he's actually referring to the largest collection of United States and Russian space artifacts in the world.
These are parts of the F-1 engines. The F-1 engines were at the bottom of the Saturn V rockets. Okay, the Saturn V rocket is what made it possible for us to get to the moon. So starting in 2011, 2012, a man named Jeff Bezos,
You might have heard him.
you might have heard of him, he decided he wanted to recover those engines from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean because, as he explains in this video produced by Bezos Expeditions, he felt that these engines represent the consummate engineering masterpiece. And he remembers watching the Apollo launches when he was a little boy and just being amazed.
Hutchinson, which is a nearby town with all kinds of close ties to Lindsborg, is home to the Cosmosphere. Now I should say up front that I'm not normally a museum guy, but the Cosmosphere doesn't do normal. It's a mecca of space travel. Walking visitors from the beginning of the rocket-propelled engines eventually to our foot race with Russia to the moon. I've only arrived recently at a time in my adult life to find great admiration for educators like Mimi and Carla, two of the executives at the museum who make themselves available for special requests. The entire effort behind institutions like the Cosmosphere that deepen the appreciation we have for science, they brought a very big concept for me down to earth. They made it real.
I need to know something on the, how to calculate the pre-launch temperature of flight conditions or something.
I hope the stars are out tonight, reflecting in your eye. Baby, you deserve the sky.
And as with most things in Lindsborg, passions and interests tend to spill beyond the walls of work and into the streets and fields. The Cosmosphere, for instance, hosts camps, and part of these camps are stargazing workshops, one which happened to be taking place during my visit. It was hosted at Coronado Heights, one of the highest points in the area, just a few minutes down a dirt road out of town. And it started off with one of the most delectable sunsets of the week. It was up there with Caleb and Jordan, the Cosmosphere's certified stars of the evening. We helped set up some heavy-duty equipment.
When we first got this, Caleb and I, and then there's a few other guys, the education director, Brad, we were all like huddled around like kids on Christmas.
Now, this was not your everyday science class telescope. This thing was prepared to beam you off into space if you didn't behave yourself.
What do you get towards the end of the evening, like before sunrise? Something totally different?
Oh yeah, totally different. More planets, more deep sky objects, and some of the things that you can see in wintertime will come up way later in the evening and early in the night. Like the Orion constellation and the Orion Nebula, which is a beautiful space rainbow that has about 10,000 baby stars that it'll form over its lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Space rainbow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard about that.
Yeah, well, that's an easy way to explain it
Yes.
that a lot of people can understand and really take home.
Seems like you guys are really good at that.
We try.
With the experts, we caught some of the cleanest, clearest, most defined views, Saturn and Pluto, and then the moon, I've ever imagined possible. With proper guidance, it's amazing how much of the solar system you can actually see. It reminds you how exploring places you already know can be quite limiting, considering the amount of places you could possibly enjoy.
You know, the sky is the limit.
Literally.
Yeah, quite literally, yeah.
I know everybody in town, and they know me, and we get along, and we're friends. So that's my situation, and I really like that.
When you're in a little town, you bump into many of the same people over and over again, and it gives you a nice sense of belonging. Take Carmen, a Kansas native I met at the water fight. He and his wife Marianne invited me over for a morning of traditional Swedish pastries at their home known as the Timber House. Actually built in Sweden and then shipped piece by piece to this plot of land in Lindsborg. The thing is as authentic as it gets. You just want to hug them and ask them a million questions. You want to learn their secrets to marriage. You want to indulge in their breakfast spread. Marianne, thoughtful as ever, replaced all the dairy items traditional to the raisin bread and the ring cake and the apricot and chocolate drops. She replaced all the milk and egg and cream for my allergies. It was quite the delicious and loving way to start the day. I don't think anyone has ever done that for me on my travels.
Are we in the right spot?
Right spot!
Oh, are we the first ones here?
No, you're the second.
Oh, I followed my nose.
You did. On my last night in town, I wanted to host a dinner party, a way to show off my vacation rental, and to return even a smidgen of the hospitality that my new friends afforded me. You start here with the rice, you grab yourself a bowl. This is brisket from Scott's, cooked in a pan from Farley's.
And the pan has everything to do with it.
And then kind of make your way around. There's roasted vegetables, potatoes, broccoli, carrots, corn, some slaw, pickled vegetables, and then you could put on some vinegars and soy sauces. There's plenty of drinks, and we just wanted to show a tiny token of our appreciation. This has been an experience beyond any of our collective expectations. Lindsborg, Kansas. Thanks to all of you guys. So, cheers. Here. Cheers. And as the night began to come to a close, I had the chance to think back to my visit to Lindsborg. To many people, a town in the middle of nowhere, but now, to me, a memorable place on the map. And I realized that in rural towns like Lindsborg, and really any destination that wants to grow, the secret to success lies not in trying to copy the most famous tourism centers, but in going almost the opposite direction, in looking inwards at your own history, being confident in and channeling your own strengths, and doing so not just individually, but together as a community, a network you get to call home. That kind of attitude seems like it could improve any neighborhood, really. Kind of authenticity all travelers want to see.
I truly feel like it was supposed to happen, like there was a greater purpose for us to come here than we understood at the time that we came. I mean, we did feel called, but the longer we're here, the bigger the purpose becomes.
Sometimes the character of a destination, sometimes the meaning people give to it, but oftentimes a mixture of both. This is Lindsborg. This is the Vacation Rental Show.